Hi, and welcome to Frontline Conversations. I'm Abhinav Chakraborty, and today we have Satwik Gade in the studio with us. Satwik now has his first novel out. It's called The Alice Project, and it's published by HarperCollins India. Congratulations on your first book, Satwik, and I welcome you again. We'll start off with something that's on top of this book, which is the title of this book, which I found very intriguing. It's got a beautiful cover, by the way. So, coming to the title, how did you arrive at it?
So the name Alice, I just like the idea of having a character have a girl's name, have a male character have a girl's name, simply because I think it resonated with a lot of the personality. I think even though it's a typical guy's coming of age story, the protagonist is not very much like a typical cis-het male figure that you see in movies and in books. So I like the idea of just having girls have him have a girl's nickname, and I thought that would sort of evoke a better feeling in the audience than actually like giving away his real name.
You said this yourself earlier that it's in the the book is in the genre of a coming of age novel, and I found it pretty much same. Even though a lot of the tropes in the book felt familiar to me, the treatment overall came across as very fresh. So tell us about the process of writing it.
Sure. I think there are a bunch of genres that really interest me a lot, like say a rom-com or a chick flick or a stoner comedy. These sort of things are typically considered very commercial genres, and also they're not considered art or arty per se. So I find the idea of taking those sort of genres and trying to elevate them very interesting. And I do think a lot of writers in the past, this is not something new also, I think a lot of writers in the past who've been very successful have essentially sort of taken very run-of-the-mill commercial genres and kind of elevated them through really great writing. And I keep thinking of Dostoevsky in this regard, that if we remove the really beautiful psychoanalysis of his characters and the deep emotions that go with the setting and all that, essentially what he's writing are like soap operas, right? Like they're essentially like these elaborate family dramas or like elaborate romantic dramas, but the execution or like the heart that he puts into it sort of elevates it to like really great literature. So that was something that always struck me, and so yeah. I've also seen that in the case of, say, like Upamanyu Chatterjee, who wrote English August, which was again in the genre of a slacker coming-of-age novel. And even over there, I think, he sort of took again a stoner comedy and kind of made it representative of a urban Indian in the 80s, right. Which sort of became very iconic. So I think I've always been influenced by these sort of things, and so when I wrote, it was natural that I'd try something like that.
Besides your protagonist, which is Alice, your book, throughout the book, there are such well-rounded characters, like so much so that they came across as real people to me. Keeping in mind the fact that it's your first novel, how much of the book in that sense is autobiographical?
It is a little autobiographical, definitely, because again I was focusing a lot more on the craft of writing it. So to me at the beginning, like it felt like too much of an effort to come up with completely new characters, and I felt that wasn't what I was looking to do. So just to take the easy way out, I took a setting that I was very familiar with, so that I could really focus on what it is that I wanted to do. And also I think I was again, the thing with college is that you meet so many different people, and all of them are really interesting characters. Especially once you get to know them, you sort of really realize that they're all people worth writing about. So yeah.
Coming to your work, besides the book, which is the fact that you are a graphic artist, did you ever contemplate writing a full-length graphic novel as your first solo project?
Yeah, I do keep toying with the idea from time to time, but the reason why I was really drawn to writing is because it's not my day job. Okay. So once you're done with a day of illustrations and comics, it's very difficult to want to do that as your passion project as well. So it was really great to be able to just write, and that's probably why I managed to do this first. But I do have a graphic novel in the works. I hope it'll also come out soon.
Coming back to the book, I found the book very cinematic in terms of its storytelling. Do you think your skills as a graphic artist came in handy?
Yeah, I think more than my skills as a graphic artist, I think it's how I am as a reader that sort of came in. I think so. I think this is true of many readers as well, that when you're reading a book, after a point you don't feel like you're reading the words, right? Like there is that image that sort of flows in front of you even as you're reading it. The reading becomes subconscious, and you actually start seeing the story in front of you. And that is something that's very common for me. Like across all reading experiences, I've had that. So when I was writing, I was conscious of the image that is sort of getting created in the minds of the readers. And I do like cinema a lot. I do think that there are particular kinds of cinema where, because cinema is such a mass medium, there are particular ways of looking at people that have been established by cinema. So we can use that to our advantage, because it's people will like if you feed that to your audience, they'll easily sort of take it. So yeah.
In the book, there are quite a few bits, which dwell on these philosophical meditations, be it those long passages on the Ajivika philosophy where, Javed, the character of Javed and Alice have these conversations throughout the book, or even the darkly comic bits, of which my personal favorite, of course, is Alice's theory of, existential apathy, which I remember reading in a metro and laughing out loud, and people just around me started wondering what had happened. So I just want to know, where did these bits stem from? Where do these come from? These bits.
Some of them were these weird explanations that I would come up with to explain to my parents or to my friends or other people like why I was the way I was. Some of the others, I think, especially about the Ajivika philosophy and also all of the other philosophical musings, like I felt that we typically, when we set a character in his early 20s, like we sort of try to show a person who's sort of hormonal, materialistic, sort of focused on things that we normally consider like people of that age are supposed to care about. But actually, I think real people, we are always sort of in many different paths at the same time, right? Like we have this side of us which is highly, like highly frivolous, but there is side by side, like you're just sitting and talking about something really frivolous, and then you walk away, you're by yourself, you start thinking about something very deeply philosophical, and the line between the various things that you're thinking about is always very blurry. So I very much like the idea of having a 20-something-year-old guy sort of think about these things very deeply, but not be able to, but not engage with them seriously. So I wanted the effect of a young person engaging with very serious ideas, but in his own very frivolous way. So that's, I guess, the source of this.
For the most part of the book, the novel has a very keen sense of time and place. Like for example, to establish the time that the book is set in, I particularly liked how you used pop culture references, to bring to mind two of them. Say, the reference you gave to a movie like Josh or to Kalyug, and then when it comes to, in terms of place, in the first half, the setting of Delhi is almost as if it is a character in itself, of the book. But in the second half, which is set in Chennai, I felt like the city sort of took a back seat. So do you agree with this observation? And if so, was that a conscious decision that you took while writing the book?
Yeah, yes, I think the sort of setting, like the Delhi college setting, is something that is very easily relatable. I think it's, and college experiences themselves are very easy to relate in a sense, and that too, that sort of setting that we lived in Delhi, around our college, which was also this college area in the sense like the South Delhi University campuses were over there, AIMS was there, NIFT was there, and so it was a very familiar sort of a setting that a huge group of us were going through. So I think it sort of came out very organically. I think in terms of Chennai, I did set a lot of things that were very typical of Chennai, but then at the same time, story-wise, the character and the character's thoughts start becoming a lot more inward-looking, and also this is the second time around where the focus is on the romance a lot more, and the two characters, the two protagonists, are like trying to create this bubble for themselves, which shields them from the outside world completely. So in that sort of a sense, Chennai does take a backseat in the story itself, because even as they're exploring the city, they're trying to like create this bubble where the city or their lives in that city don't affect them in any way. So I guess that.
Towards the end of the book, there's a particular passage that caught my attention as the protagonist Alice almost comes of age, and I'll read it out. Maybe this acceptance was adulthood, understanding that things won't be as you think as they should, and exploiting the way things are for personal profit. In a way, it also captured this sense of how Alice seems to have moved forward in life and yet was stuck at the same time, which is true even for the other character in the book of Javed. It comes to mind that this character of Snigdha observes that Javed is like Alice's split personality or super ego. So what are your thoughts on this bit of the book?
I personally chose to write in the genre, in the slacker genre, for the specific reason. I think the kind of hyper reality that a slacker genre allows you to create is that typically in stories you have arcs and characters have arcs, but in slacker genre, like the arc is sort of almost cyclical. You sort of come back to where you started from, and that to me is very close to real life, because I do feel that even in real life there are several milestones which give you some kind of an illusion of progress, but then you kind of realize that the more you move forward, the more you are in the same place, sort of a thing. And I think this is a mood setting sort of a thing. So I just wanted the mood across the entire book to be this, like where you see a series of milestones that don't actually make a difference to the character's internal personal arc at all.
You mentioned Dostoevsky's works earlier. You mentioned Upamanyu Chatterjee's English August. So, apart from them, who are your literary influences?
I think I'm very strongly influenced by Upamanyu Chatterjee. Read all of his books multiple times and sort of really savor them for the writing. So, and also there's a writer called Karadi Tales, who's written a couple of books. I don't see a lot of books by her, but she's one of my favorite authors. I think what I really like, which again probably I used very minimally in this book, but these just gentle moments of magic in the ordinary, which she captures very, very beautifully, and I think her stories are extremely rooted, and I think I try to imbibe a few of those things.
I remember you mentioning a graphic novel earlier today, but what are you working on next?
So interestingly, I am toying with the idea of doing a sequel to this book, because I do think I have a lot more to say in the story, or so I've realized in the recent past. And apart from that, I'm working on my graphic novel, which is something that keeps going on, and I'm also working on a screenplay for a web series.
That sounds great. I look forward to whatever you do next. Thank you so much for joining us again, Satwik.
Absolutely, man.
And good luck.
Thank you so much. Lovely being here.